on. What we'd like to do, if we can, is get one takeaway from every table. Okay, so, and we'll just start to the left over here, and we'll just work our way in a serpentine, I guess. So, just to share with the group, just what the first thing that comes to mind.
He's really great. Yeah.
Okay, so we're arguing about who's going to speak.
Just took the mic, so it's you.
So we talked mostly about ignoring the voice of reason, and the voice of reason can be a good thing, right? To follow. And recognizing when it's better not to follow the voice of reason is the hard thing to do. And that takes a lot of prayer and discernment. And it kind of ties in with the discarded pretensions, too, because, and the Centurion is a beautiful example of that. And because you could imagine how the Centurion, you know, the risk he was taking amongst his peers, yet and so those voices of reason from his peer group would have told him he was a fool, and we have to recognize when to, right, ignore the voice of reason, the voice of certain reason, and just go on faith.
Thank you. Over here. She pointed to you.
Well, I work in the medical field as a hand therapist, so kind of in between the higher authorities and the patients. And since about the turn of the century, there's been a big push for evidence-based medicine. And everything has to be protocol and guideline and evidence and reason. And I hear doctors arguing all the time, and I've heard doctors tell patients, don't even get another opinion. I wrote this book, and one doctor even said, I am God. And so I think that logic and reason are kind of the way of the world. And sometimes I think, a lot of times when I'm with patients, I just kind of say prayers while I'm laying my hands on them and doing those things, and listening more to the patients and what's going on in their lives. And it's sometimes hard to ignore all of that evidence and all of the logic and reason, and return to that level of being quiet and listening.
Thank you. Okay, here there's 3-4 families, so Anthony's the good one. Okay. We did a lot of what you said already. We said, you know, we talked a little more about it, you know, the voice of reason, you know, not from in medical, like, oftentimes people are sick, you know, we've all kind of experienced that, and the doctors will tell you, you know, with certainty, 5% chance, 3% chance, no chance, and you want to have faith, you want to pray, but it's hard to, and I'm reiterating other stories from our table, but you want to pray that and believe, I mean, like, firmly believe that, you know, I actually believe everything's going to be fine, where a lot of very smart and reasonable people say no, and evidence says no, and that's a challenge, and, you know, that's a challenge I guess everybody deals with, so that was one of the things we brought up. Okay. Over here. Yep. Thank you, sweet.
Okay, our struggle was with also the ignoring the voice of reason, and then, but we also discussed sometimes the investing without reservation in Jesus' authority above all other, just how that you might pray about something, but that doesn't necessarily always take away your worry, or, and then if you want to fully invest, it should, or that's, you know, maybe it should give you more peace, if you turn things over to Jesus.
I struggle with that all the time because I think, I've prayed and I truly believe, so why am I so anxious or worried, Over here. Okay, the last finger pointed this way.
Well, we kind of squished them all together, but yeah, the voice of reason was the big talk in here. But we kind of went to the last one about overcoming the obstacles, and being more like a kid, more like a child was always the answer, because they believe without reasoning. We always put the reason first and why, and I need the knowledge before the wisdom. And kids don't care about the knowledge. They just have the faith.
They just know. They just know what to believe. Well done. See, it was good. Over here. You got it?
We talked a lot about the third one. We were both saying that as really busy moms, we like to control everything and what happens, in what order, how it's going to work. And last night, I had organized a fondue for my family and a game night. And right when I was about to serve it, Vivi, my 9-year-old, came down and said, "I'm going to go shopping with Poppy." I said, "You are not going to go shopping. We are going to sit here. We have our family fun night. You are going to sit down and we're going to do the fondue." And then she goes, "I wanted to get you a birthday present." I was like, "Fine, just go. Hurry up. Go get me a birthday present." "Well, no, never mind. I don't need to get it. No, fine, just go." So it was this whole big argument, and it was like so many times we get so controlling that we can't let... We never think like, it's going to work out. It's okay. She can go for 30 minutes. So that's what we were mostly talking about.
Well, we said that a huge part of faith is discarding pretension. And Jesus kind of shoves that in our face at every turn, especially in the study that we're doing now. This month is the Centurion. Last month it was Matthew, the tax collector. The month before that is the Samaritan woman. We're anxious to see what's going to be coming next month, because Jesus gives us a new way of discarding our pretensions. It makes us happy.
Over here. Okay, the gentleman with the notebook.
I don't know how I ended up with a microphone, but I think the highlights at this table, it's number 3, invest without reservation in Jesus. It's just, it feels like, at least for me, like I want to be in control all the time. And even my personality, you have to let go. You have to let Jesus kind of lead you the way you need to go. It's just, everything is going to be okay. You just have to let go. And I think we'll be struggling with this for quite a while, but it's a journey, right? So eventually we'll get there, at least for me. At least I know it's my journey, so that's all.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, over here. And then we'll go to wrapping it up.
I said my wife probably feels like I'm pretty good at number 1, ignoring the voice of reason. But we felt, for us as adults, we felt like number 3 was the hardest one for us, the without reservation, because you don't want to let go of what you know. You want to, you feel comfortable there, the control. But we felt like for our kids, probably ignoring the voice of reason was the hardest one, because there's so much social media out there saying, you need this thing, and you need that thing, and you need this technology, and you need this. And there's so much out there that tells them they don't need their faith to be a good person. And so we felt like maybe for us as adults, number 3 was the hardest, but probably number 1 for the kids.
Well, if you ask Gabriella, she'll tell you that I just ignore her reason. I know we're over and the kids are starting to come out. So no, we're good. I thought it was over at 12. Okay, I lied. But see, I didn't ignore the voice of reason.
We talked mostly about the voice of reason. It's 2 engineers and a biology major here. And we thought that we needed to be able to prove everything. And I think that, I guess my point was, the more you study, the more you know, but like the more you know, the better it is to not know sometimes, because it's easier to just say, okay, yeah, I just believe it. That's good. And these guys said, no, you have to prove it. So we have no conclusion, but yeah.
It sounds like a follow-on conversation over coffee. Okay, over here.
Thanks, everyone, for sticking around until I say mine. We talked about number 1 and number 3. And basically, is that connection, right? Brain and your heart. And being able to relinquish that control and find that peace and serenity to know that everything is going to be okay. And that, you plan, I plan, but he's the best planner, right? So that's it.
I think for me, it's his okay may not be my okay. That's always the hard part to accept. Thank you. Thanks for all your inputs.
Yeah, one interesting thing to me is we didn't, it seemed to me everybody kind of was moving towards 1 and 3 with us, but it seemed like 2 was kind of the problem in Capernaum. Just interesting thought. Okay, last year, just wanted to wrap up with this. Last year, since we're in Advent, but last year the liturgical calendar was set so that about this time last year, this was the reading, and so we found a homily from Pope Francis discussing this reading and its relevance to Advent. I want to explain, though, but we don't want to give you more homework. We already had that other article to read, so I did my best. I just really tried to break it down to really short, but and this was a word he used, mass. But when you see mass in this, it doesn't mean, like Rob read it, my son brain, he's like, you don't think he sees us at mass? And what the Pope means, and we've talked about before, was that he sees us individually, not as a mass of people. So that's not, and it's hard to, I will go ahead and read it to you all because it's hard to see. The Pope, he emphasized that Christmas is an encounter, and that we should walk by this road. By this road, he was talking about Advent, to meet Jesus. The centurion walked with faith to meet the Lord. For this reason, he felt the joy of being met by the Lord. This is the encounter we want, the encounter of faith. We must have open hearts for this encounter to take place. The Lord does not see us in mass. He looks each in the eyes with love that is concrete. To let ourselves be encountered by God is to let ourselves be loved by the Lord. So I think that Pope was using the centurion's case as a challenge to us to be bold in our faith and to approach God and try to encounter the Lord in these coming weeks. Closing prayer?
If everybody would stand, please, and if there's any intentions. I want to thank the Scott family. You guys, you need to give it up for them. They did it.